running your business and marketing your business they're not separate. You need a lifeline, and you just have to keep going.
Yeah.
Sometimes things don't always go exactly the way you want to, but you still have to tell your story and talk about the business, and put yourself out there.
Welcome to the Veranda Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Christine Mills. On the Veranda Entrepreneur Podcast, I feature entrepreneurs while I discuss ways you can grow your business today. Step onto the veranda, get a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's talk shop. Let's do this. Veranda Entrepreneur Show. Today we have Dana Baugh from Baughaus Design. I'm so excited to interview her today. I think she's my third cousin, but we're still trying to figure that out. We have the same last name. I was Baugh before I became Mills. So welcome to the show, Dana.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your design company, how you got started.
So the name of the company is Baughaus Design Studio, and it started in 2012 as a side hustle. I was working full time with a all-inclusive resort, and I started the business as a creative outlet. And while working full time, I was building the business, and in 2016 I left the company to do this full time.
Nice.
And since 2016, I've just been working on building the business and trying to grow it into the vision that I have for it.
So were you always a creative person growing up? Tell us a little bit about, how you were growing up. How did you get into art?
Yeah, I was always into making stuff. So I'm from a little town called Savannah Lamar in Jamaica. It's a rural town on the southwestern coast of Jamaica. Most people know Negril, but Savlamar is not. It's like an old factory town. It was known for sugar cane production way back in the day. And, over time, that factory has significantly reduced in production, and sugar isn't the number one sweetener anymore. So, those historical things that happen. And so not much creativity, or it's a very slow town. So growing up, I think my parents tried to push me into different areas to keep me active. And one of the things was just like keeping me busy doing creative projects. Like I would do basket weaving or t-shirt painting, dancing, calligraphy, anything to keep me busy as a younger, because I have an older brother and a younger brother. And so I would always, I was a little bit of a tomboy, but at the same time, I still had my dolls and stuff and whatever, but always being pushed to do something creative. I guess the Baugh side of the family is known for being creative. And so all three of us have a little knack for drawing, but I'm the only one that has pursued it as a career. And when I was like 14, my dad bought a little clay set for me, and I liked it. When I eventually, years later, went to design school, I did a mold making in ceramics course and learned production pottery, which is what I do now, where it's like being able to replicate a design and to make multiples of one particular design using a mold process. And so it just kind of came full circle, where I used to play around with clay in the garage to actually having a business that's making stuff. Well, I've since moved out of my mother's garage, but came right back to the same spot 10 years later.
That's very nice. Yeah. And I like that when I look on your pictures, there are a lot of, you have the heads, a lot of the faces with your ceramic. Is that your signature piece?
A lot of people know me for that particular piece. I have different styles that I'm drawn to. There are a variety of things that I like. I'm influenced by, yes, Jamaican designers that have gone before me, and also other designers across the world, from ranging from Wedgwood and London ceramicists or artists to Japanese ceramics and artists and American, just and even Scandinavian design. So I mean, I infuse all of that into the work. The pieces with the faces is inspired by just the Caribbean people. So I have my dancehall Queen Salt and Pepper Shakers, and that's just a part of just me celebrating the dancehall culture, which is not often celebrated.
That's true.
And I have the planter heads, which was I call that the Caribbean princess, because that was just to um, showcase, I would say, the feminine beauty of a Caribbean woman. And I mean, there are other faces that I want to do, but there are a lot of notable Jamaican ceramicists who focus on the face, like Jean Pearson, Nakazi. They all have these masks and these like very serene faces, and they do one of a kind pieces. My pieces are more reproduction. They're one of a kind up to a certain point, but it's still a reproduction of an original sculpture that I did. So the design is inspired by that, but it's my interpretation of what I think of when I think of my culture.
Yeah. Well, that's a really nice, fresh perspective. I like that you are actually celebrating the dancehall culture. That's interesting because you're right. It's not often celebrated among Caribbeans as people think it is. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So, I know that your business is, people know about it from in America and all around. And I just want to know, how you go about marketing it to let other people know about what you're doing.
Okay, so I was not always comfortable like self-promoting and talking about myself until I went on a trade mission with Caribbean Export Development Agency, and the marketing person said to me, "Well, you're the center of the business. You have to get more comfortable talking about yourself." So I was always in marketing because I did my first degree I did in psychology and marketing at the University of the West Indies. And I like marketing, I like the idea of advertising, but never to put myself as the
Yeah.
subject. So I had
Yeah.
to get comfortable with that. It's always easy for me to talk about the pieces, but not about myself and my process and all that stuff.
Right.
So for me, it was all about, it started out just talking about the products, photographing them well. That's very important, that I tried to photograph them as best as I can. Even though I do most of the photographing myself, I try my best to replicate what I see around me. And I try to, and it just started. It's like a little seed that you plant. You know, you tell one person, they tell somebody else, and somebody else tells somebody else.
Right.
And that's how it has grown. And I just try to stay true to who I am and just stay dedicated to what I'm doing. I really haven't stopped or given up. There are frustrating moments, but I think sometimes running your business and marketing your business they're not separate. You know, you need a lifeline, and you just have to keep going.
Yeah.
Sometimes things don't always go exactly the way you want to, but you still have to tell your story and talk about the business, and put yourself out there. And
Those are the people they buy from because they feel like they know the person. And it can
yes,
be challenging if you're used to being, separate from it and private. So I can see that be challenging at times.
yes, yeah. I've gotten used to it. Still an adjustment at times because sometimes I want to just stay in my little shell,
Yeah.
but you can't hide away. And I think I've gotten a lot more comfortable, and it's still an adjustment for me as I become more comfortable just putting myself out there. And I think it's something that a lot of creative people face because they tend to be more in their heads and
Yeah.
more internal and introverted. Um, I tell people all the time, like, I'm an extroverted introvert because I like to talk to people, but
Right.
I'm not necessarily the person that's going to go on stage and host an event. But,
Right.
in my own little way, I like to talk and have conversation and meet people and that type of stuff. But I still like my little um, private moments where I get to marinate on something or,
Right.
be in a little world.
Yeah. Well, how is the design industry in Jamaica and in the Caribbean?
Oh, it can be quite challenging. There are not a lot of resources. Um, I'm not sure about the other islands, but I kind of feel it's similar. A lot of money isn't invested in art programs in schools. I talk about it as often as I can because I think that Caribbean people are naturally very creative, and with lack of resources, it allows you to be more creative. But I cannot comprehend in the country of reggae
Hmm.
why you don't have more music programs in primary schools and high schools. Why do you have to wait until you get to a university level or you drop out of high school and decide to pursue music that you understand, the theory and the basis of it. And it's the same thing with visual arts or dance or anything. We are known for those things internationally, and we have done that with so little. If there was some more investment in the creativity when you're of the youth, I think it
Right.
would help us a lot more in terms of our creative industry and producing more from the industry. So I feel waiting until the university level is not good enough, or
Yeah.
waiting until you're about to do your final exam and you do 2 years of intensive study in art. It's not enough. I think children need to learn to play in from an elementary or primary school level to develop those skills because not everybody's going to be a doctor or a lawyer or so everybody has different skills. And so I feel like we lose out a lot because we don't do that. And then we end up in a situation where a lot of creative people don't pursue a career
Yeah.
doing what they love because it's so hard to be able to grow as a designer, one, and then two, to be in business as one.
Right.
Um, so I find that that is the like the core of the problem. And then the second part is the perception that the general population has of people that are in the creative field. Typically, if you're in the creative field, the perception is that, oh, it's a little roadside hustle or something that you do from home. It's not a genuine business. And there
Right.
are few people like myself who are pursuing it as a genuine business. And so I've been lucky enough that I've convinced people that this is a business and it's my livelihood. I've developed a client base that has supported me. And it's a very huge struggle to get there. So I can understand other people that don't have the same opportunities that I may have had or the same exposure, just not wanting to do it because
Yeah.
it's quite difficult getting there.
Yeah.
Um, and so I try to encourage people anytime I have a platform or any, like, to encourage them and to also speak out about the way people perceive artists or creatives or designers.
Yeah.
It's a career too. We do have to, we have intellectual property, we have ideas, we have concepts, and those things are of value.
Yeah.
So I think that we have a long way to go, but I think the more people that go into business and pursue it, professionally, it will change.
Yeah. No, you make a lot of great points. Sometimes I'm home with my family and we'll be listening to music and we're just amazed by how much music has come out of Jamaica, the island itself. I mean, we are creative people. And
Yeah,
when you're right, and once people start looking at the different forms of art as being a profession, I think that they'll look at business opportunities with those as well, and they'll nurture upcoming artists as well.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I find even just trying to find just people to work with me in the studio, it's extremely difficult because you have to be teaching them things that should come naturally,
Um,
from a basic level, because they're just not exposed to anything creative, or they don't think of it as a serious career.
um,
Where if you go to other countries, it's a serious career to be a ceramicist, or
yeah,
to even not even be a full-fledged ceramicist, but just to be a slip caster, which is
yeah,
one part of the process in what I do. Like people do that for a living and they take it seriously. But the problem is because we don't teach design and creativity and art in school at an early age, we put ourselves at a disadvantage of having a nation of people we don't pay attention to detail as much
yeah,
as we should. We're not as I think that sometimes it limits us in our problem solving skills because you're not using that side of your brain to make
yeah,
certain
yeah.
connections.
Right,
So it
right.
is important. It's very important. It's not just about reading a book and being able to regurgitate information. It's all about making linkages as well. And
Yeah.
sometimes you need to use your brain creatively to be able to solve problems. So I feel it's important. I really feel it is important.
Do you feel that it's going to change in the future? Are they making any steps to change that in the school system there?
It's talked about, but it's not. It will take some time.
Yeah,
I remember when I was younger, they had this concert for music programs in schools in the US, and it was like all the divas in concert or something of the sort. And it was a huge thing, like Mariah Carey and Celine Dion and Aretha Franklin, and it was all these huge stars and it was a televised broadcasted thing, and they were raising money for music programs in schools in the US. So I know it's not something that's just a Caribbean problem.
no, not at all.
I think it's worldwide. Or I wouldn't say, maybe some countries are better at including that in their curriculum, but I think that it will take more people like myself who believe in it to advocate on behalf of, you know, the youth coming up. And it will take time to change, but if more people speak up about it, then hopefully. There's a lot of talk about science and technology and engineering.
Yeah,
Um, and I think a lot of people they're hoping that art gets lumped into it. But I think people have to speak up about it, and
yeah,
that's the main thing. I think that when you have a lot of people like in the US that they they're like patrons of the art, and
yeah.
they're wealthy and they take their money and they put it back into the community and into the arts. It's
Right.
really good when people do that, and I'm hoping that Jamaica can eventually develop that culture of helping to support art programs
Right.
and schools and stuff like that. So eventually I think so, but it's never going to be like perfect. But I think anything is better than what it is right now.
Right, right. My daughter, just as a personal note, based on what you're saying, my daughter went to a private school in Connecticut, and they had a great art program, and that's what really drew me to the school. And now both children are attending public school in Florida, and it's totally different. The artwork that she was doing in second grade, third grade, fourth grade, I haven't seen any student teacher do that now with either of my children right now, and it's just because they don't have the funding in that area to really promote that in K through 12 schools a lot of times. And I've also noticed that with the push for STEM, like what you were talking about, everything is a test. Like everything comes down to testing, 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 and because of that, it kind of squeezed out a lot of the art programs that could have been. So a lot of parents here, you have to take an initiative to really have your kids do art programs at museums and all that to expose them. Because even if they don't pursue it as a career, just using that part of their brain, like you were saying, and just thinking creatively, it comes with doing that.
Exactly, exactly. And I find that the technical schools in Jamaica, and these are the schools that aren't the illustrious schools that everybody wants to go to, because I had a problem with my kiln last year, and I couldn't find anybody in my area with a kiln that could help me. And it was the technical schools are the schools that teach, like, they'll do the regular subjects, but there's also a focus on, learning about um, automobile repair and carpentry and that type of stuff as well. And they actually had a very good art program. They had a large kiln in their kiln room. They had a teacher who was dedicated to teaching ceramics. They had a very huge classroom with an area for them to just focus on doing that. There could be improvements because the teacher himself he's not a ceramics professor.
Right.
But the only reason they had that was because it was donated from, I'm not sure who donated it, some company from the US or something like that. Somebody bought the kiln, bought all the supplies for them. And it was just my good luck that I found out that they had a kiln and I could use it. And that saved me, not last Christmas, the Christmas before, for me to be able to fill my orders.
Wow.
And I find that if we had more, I would say, art programs like that, even just the basis, so that children know that it is available or this option is out there, then I think it would be a little bit better. I mean, I plan to eventually, I've spoken to the teacher to go in and do, like, one or two classes and have the students learn a different perspective and show them, outside of just using local red clay, what is possible for if you use your creative ability. So I find that it's also going to take, like they say, pay it forward. You also have to go back and help out the community and help lift them up, because a lot of these children, they come from inner city communities in the area, and they're not exposed to that. And you'll find one person who really has a talent, but no one to nurture them, and no vision or exposure to what could be possible to expand the vision they have for themselves. So it's important to do that as well.
Right. Well, I'm happy that you're paying it forward and you're still connected to community there. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's important. One of the main reasons I decided to keep the business here where I'm from, it's a rural town. And so if I was in Kingston, it's the capital of Jamaica, it would have been much easier, because that's where the majority of my clients are. And most people associate Jamaican creative culture with Kingston.
Yeah.
I made a very difficult decision to move back home. When I left the company I was working for in 2016, the main reason was I've always wanted to be in the community that I grew up in. A lot of the people in the community, they're not used to seeing a creative business.
Yeah.
They don't have that option.
Right.
It's either you're going to work in the tourism industry, you're going to become a cashier, a teacher, a police officer, just the norm, something in customer service. And so I felt that it was important for me to establish myself in this old factory town to showcase and to develop the creative side in a creative business in a rural community, because I feel that it was important to integrate into the community in that way. So it's difficult, you know, you don't really have a social life, and it's a lot harder to network, but I find it very rewarding, and I feel like I'm supposed to be here
Yeah,
doing, yeah, yeah,
that's good. That's good. So now we're gonna just pivot a little bit more to the business, but like a creative business. So you were
yeah.
saying earlier, like your vision, how you're trying to establish your vision. So what is your vision for your company?
I would like to be one of the design leaders from the Caribbean, exporting products inspired by our culture.
Hmm.
Um, it's almost like when FUBU was created, it was for us, by us. And it's essentially the same concept, creating products inspired by our culture. Um, but I want it for everyone. I would like it to bring joy to anybody that it connects with. And I think that the pieces have been doing that. Um, but the idea is to just spread Jamaican culture globally. And that is the ultimate vision, to be able to not just do ceramics, but also to do soft goods, table linens, flatware, um, pillows, throws, whatever it is that I feel um, expresses our culture in a
Yeah.
modern way, and that can be shared with people, for them to enjoy, or, you know, just be a part of their everyday living.
Right. You know, when you say that about the culture of Jamaica, although I was raised in Florida, I was really raised in a big Jamaican community. One thing that I always remembered growing up was crochet being everywhere, like crochet tablecloths, crochet on nightstands, crochet everywhere. And a lot of my aunts, they made it by hand. And I'm just curious, what kind of inspiration would you put into your tablecloths and all that with the Caribbean culture?
Well, for me, I love batik and I love tie-dye.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I have thought about incorporating that into a collection. I also do like crochet. I think it's very detailed and very pretty. Um, I had an idea for a lighting fixture, and I'm working with a young lady from the Negril area to help me um, with the design. It's not like a new concept that I'm inventing. A lot of people have done it where they dip the um, the doily or whatever you're making into the clay, and then you fire that.
Oh.
Clay burns out and it leaves the intricate clay
Oh, okay.
pattern. So I'm interested in experimenting in something like that because I do like crochet.
Yeah.
And there are other things that I also have thought about experimenting with it. It has been a dying art because not many people value it. You know, people
Yeah.
may think that, oh, it's old fashioned or whatever, but it takes a lot of patience and time
Yeah.
to create something
Yeah.
like that. Um, and so I come in at the end when nobody's really doing it, and it's going to be very difficult to find one or two people who
Right.
remember all these different patterns and stuff.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
I feel like some of those old traditions can be made modern and can be made relevant again for our time. So
Right.
I feel like I'm desperately trying to get the ceramic business running on its own so I can do the other products as well.
Right. So how's your distribution? Like you said, a lot of your clients are in Kingston. So you sell abroad as well? Can people purchase from you abroad as well?
Yes, so I have a few stores that carries the pieces locally. I have a
Okay.
website which has been doing Um, it's slowly gaining traction. I
Yeah.
got some press locally in the some exposure locally in the US recently. So people have been going on the website and shopping.
Yeah.
And I do have online retail partners who also carry the line. That's 54 Kibo. They are
Hmm.
dedicated to selling products from makers in the African diaspora. So any country in Africa, or who people who have with the whole slave trade, they've moved into the Caribbean, into the Americas. As long as they have some African lineage, they are dedicated to supporting those businesses. And really great products coming out of Africa, coming out of the Caribbean, coming out of the US, very well made, modern take on all the things that we love in terms
Right.
of from an African culture.
Right.
And they're doing a really great job with that. And I also have my website, bauhausdesign.com, and I sell everything in my line is there. So people can in the States can get products through either one of the websites, along with I'm hoping to get into a few stores. I don't know with Corona how I'm gonna, be able to manage that, because I had plans to go to a few trade shows to try and get
Yeah.
some stores to carry, but we'll see how best we
Right.
can get that going. Because the idea is to be able to get the product out there, and we do have we have some local larger businesses who are supporting the smaller businesses, and they have offered to help ship our products to different countries that they ship to and
Right.
warehouse. So we're hopeful that in a few years we'll be a little bit more established in the international markets, not only for myself but other small manufacturers.
Right. So, when you say like in stores, what kind of stores? Are you just looking at luxury stores or high-end stores, or like what is your typical store you like to be in the US, for instance?
The typical store that I would have to be middle to higher end,
Okay.
because my price point is um it's in that region.
Okay.
Uh, because the type of clay I use is porcelain, so
Right.
it's a little more finer material. Um, to ship stuff from Jamaica to anywhere in the world is a little bit more expensive,
Right.
so it would have to be higher end. But with that said, there are pieces within the range for different price points and different pockets. I don't believe that you should just be making everything so exceptionally expensive that
Right.
no one can afford something that makes them happy or brings them joy. Or no, good design isn't just for one group of people, it's for
Right.
everyone. So I have a range of price points
Okay.
that people can get. But I think that the most affordable way, and I'm hoping that I can get some kind of warehousing and fulfillment arrangement so I can reduce my shipping costs.
Right.
Um, because most of the people that buy from me, I think they're comfortable with the price point. I think the shipping is usually the challenge.
Yeah.
Most people understand it's coming from Jamaica, so it's going to be a little bit more. And
Right.
I've been negotiating, trying to get better rates the best that I can.
Right.
So for right now, it is what it is. I have no
Right.
control for those things, but we still fight the good fight.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, one day, hopefully, I'll be seeing you in not only Macy's, but I'll probably see a line for you in Target. That'll be pretty neat.
Yes, that would be good,
Uh,
because then I've invested in machinery to help me to mass produce some of the pieces, so
right.
everything is not so labor intensive.
Yeah.
Because this production is very labor intensive,
Yeah.
and so if I get everything mass produced on the press that it's called a hydraulic press, then it'll be a little bit easier to produce, and I can produce more. So therefore, it will bring down the cost of some of the items that can be done on that machine.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about your business. Now we're going into the rapid fire question. This is when people just get to know a little bit about you. So the first question is, which beach is your favorite beach in Jamaica?
Which beach is my favorite beach? Well, the best beaches in Jamaica are on the south coast. I know people on the north coast, they're gonna kill me. But the best beaches in Jamaica are on the south coast, hands down. If anybody wants to take that up with me, they can. But definitely, my favorite beach though would have to be Paradise Beach. It's a private beach because it's on a private property. I went to school on this property. It's a huge farm. And the school I went to was Paradise Prep, and they have this beautiful beach, beautiful beach. And sometimes I get to, I ask for permission and I go there, but it's close to where I live. Beautiful beach. And then just around the corner from that, there is Bluefields Beach, where I used to go a lot as a child with my family. And if you just drive along the south coast, you'll just see the most beautiful views and the most beautiful beaches. It's very nice.
The south coast, does that include St. Elizabeth?
Yes, St. Elizabeth is on the south coast, but I really haven't been to any beaches there. There's Treasure Beach, but I don't think Treasure Beach is more like a gray black sand type beach. Right. Closer to the southwestern side has more of the white beach, and it's a bit more, I think it's more like what you see on a postcard type shot. But Treasure Beach beaches are also nice, but in a different way. It's more rustic and a little bit more, so they're also nice.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is, what's your favorite business book?
Yeah. I'm currently reading a series of books from Bradley Sugars.
Okay.
And he has a series of things like the business coach, systems. There's one on putting systems, one on HR, one for real estate. So he's called the billionaire coach or something like that.
Okay.
And he talks about those kind of it's just some very small books, easy to digest, and it gives you very good information on what you should do in your business. But for me, in terms of business and getting advice, I'm always like on entrepreneur.com or any of those 99U, any of those websites that offer advice for entrepreneurs and creative businesses as well. So I'm always reading those blogs and those articles, that type of information.
Yeah,
but
I
Bradley gives some very good information.
Oh, nice. Okay, the next question is coffee or tea?
Tea.
Tea.
I'm a tea girl, and I love green tea. I love my herbal teas. I love my floral teas.
Okay.
Tea. I'm a tea girl.
Yeah. My parents, they always had a hot kettle on because they drank tea every day, all day.
Yeah. I'm known for I can't drink my tea too hot, so I'm known for putting it down, then getting it too cold, and having to put it in the microwave, then taking it out, and drinking it in the evening when it's been there from the morning. Right. I'm a tea girl.
Well, that concluded the interview with Dana Baugh. We had a little audio problem afterwards, but I just hope you really enjoyed that interview. It was so great to meet with her. Such a lovely personality, and I love her work. Be sure to check out her website at Baughaus Design. It's pronounced more like Baugh's Design, and it's spelled BAUGHAUSDESIGN. So Baugh's Design, BAUGHAUSDESIGN.com. Check out her work. It's amazing. And if you like this episode of the Veranda Entrepreneur Podcast, please be sure to subscribe and rate the podcast. Thanks so much for joining me today. Take care and listen to more episodes so you can hear from other great creative entrepreneurs as they step onto the veranda.